We're live.
Now we're live. Yay. All right. Uh, Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Uh, we are here to talk about market matters in an ever changing real estate market across the country. I'm Deborah Morton with the Clario Group and Compass Real Estate in the North Atlanta metro market. And today we have our awesome friend and fellow agent in Nashville, Tennessee, Daria Clark. Daria, tell us a little bit about yourself and your market.
Hi. So, yeah, my name is Daria Clark, and I'm with Compass in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm out of the Gulch office, which is right in the heart of the city. I've been doing real estate for like 7 years now, and some days it feels a lot longer. Some days it feels like it was yesterday when I started. So, it guess it just depends on the day. But I grew up here, and I have had the pleasure of watching Nashville grow kind of from the inside out. So, in the past 10 years, our city has like completely changed, which has been a lot of fun to be a part of, especially now that I'm in real estate. So I love kind of having my hands right in the mix. But our market is crazy. It's just like everywhere else right now. And since we're growing so fast, we are suffering from low inventory, kind of just like a lot of other markets in the country right now. So it's pretty aggressive and competitive, but we're still placing a lot of buyers. We're turning properties, as best as we can. It just takes being really aggressive right now.
Yeah. So you said you grew up there. Did you actually grow up in Nashville proper? Because that's like super unusual.
Yeah, it is. I've lived all over Middle Tennessee, so as far north as Gallatin, which is Sumner County, and then in Murfreesboro, which is Rutherford County,
That's where
and
the
as
school,
far
that's where MTSU is, right? In Murfreesboro.
yes,
So that's
yep,
where my husband and his family are from. His college
yes,
roommates, they all MTSU fans. Yay.
yeah. Okay, so I was supposed to go to MTSU, and then I never ended up going to college, which in the end, I'm grateful for. But yeah, that's where I was supposed to end up. And Murfreesboro has grown so much. Also, Murfreesboro is its own little city now,
Yeah.
which is so cool. So it started out as just a college town, and now it's just this own little metropolis where people live, work, play. They don't even have to come into Nashville for anything now, unless they happen to commute. But with the work from home shift, most people are just stationary. So that's pretty cool. So now we have that subsidiary,
Mhm.
city
It's very
that
similar
branches
to
Nashville.
Atlanta. Like we have the same situation
Hmm.
here in Atlanta where we've got Atlanta. My office is in Marietta, which is Cobb County, is the county that is just north of the city. In Atlanta, we've got the city proper. Everybody who is familiar with the Southeast has heard of Buckhead. We have a midtown section. There's different pockets in Atlanta that makes up the city as well. And then as you
Hmm.
come to the outskirts, as you come out from the center, we have our perimeter. So it's Interstate 285 circles the city. So we have inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter. And so much so that people have gotten used to it's OTP or ITP. And there's really not a
Hmm.
border, but like Nashville, it's just grown. So from the city, it goes to Cobb County. So I'm in Marietta, but I work the area north of there as well. So you hit Ackworth and Kennesaw. I'm sorry, Kennesaw, then Ackworth. We have Woodstock, Dallas, Cherokee County. So I'm assuming you do that as well, because I know from firsthand experience, Murfreesboro, you've got what, like Franklin and Smyrna, all these other little cities into Nashville. And then you were telling me that the real development is on the north side.
Hmm. Yeah. So on the north side of Nashville, we have, well, let me start with the downtown area is on the south side of our river. And then the northeast side of our river is kind of largely undeveloped. So that's really where I see the next wave of development going. We have a huge commercial project called River North coming, which is really cool. It's the biggest real estate development deal to happen in Davidson County to date, which is really exciting. So Oracle's moving their headquarters there. which is
Really?
a really big tech company. Yeah, so that's a really, really big deal for Nashville. Um, so this whole other side of our river, if you're, standing in a high rise downtown, you're looking out on the other side, and it's been largely industrial. So all of that's going to be like a beautiful mixed use space. There's going to be a marina. There's going to be all kinds of businesses and corporate headquarters and mixed use. There'll be housing and apartments mixed in. So that's really going to change the face of Nashville and the landscape over there. And so it's interesting to compare a city like Atlanta to Nashville and look at the potential of what we could grow into. And it's just so new to us. Like right now, I work all of Nashville, right? I can drive from one end of the city to the other in 20 minutes without the traffic. Um, 5-10 years from now.
Welcome to, yes, it has a whole
I work here
different-
and you work there.
Yeah,
it's great. It's gonna be crazy. So
I have done quite a few sales on the east side of Atlanta. So if you go as like Lawrenceville, Buford, coming out to Gainesville, where Lake Lanier is, the segments of, so you've got Atlanta, and then you've got Northwest Atlanta, you've got Northeast Atlanta, and everything above. So our development opportunities are on the south side. Just like you're going north now in Atlanta, the development opportunities. We have the Atlanta Beltline is really impacting. It's a really fun bike walk travel. So as the Beltline gets improved, which is formerly an old railroad bed, the development is following the Beltline. So we have restaurants and bars and industry and housing along those ways. So yeah, if there's a bargain in Atlanta, which there are, it's the higher risk area is on the south side, which it sounded like Nashville's on the north side. So.
Yes, yeah, and so I'm very curious about that. High potential for growth. Yes. I'm always looking for those areas, and I love how you point out the Beltline, because stuff like that is what people really want to follow if they want to pick up properties that will see a lot of appreciation in the next 5 to 10 years. And I say 5 to 10 years because that gives you a really safe window. In Nashville, we've had a ridiculous amount of appreciation over the past few years. But just from a safer point of view, I always say 5 to 10. If you buy something with 5 to 10 years in mind, if you win in 2, okay, great. But if you're prepared to hold it for 10, then you're very safe. But when you follow those big developments like Oracle coming in and putting in their headquarters, or a city project like the Beltline, when you follow those in the path of development that's already being, paved, no pun intended, but and pick up properties along that path, that's how you really get a lot of appreciation, how you really win as an investor.
So after our conversation and you started me down, I did some homework. I told you I was going to look into. So it is interesting. I pulled up a couple of interesting sites that to do my homework for this conversation. Found a site called Norada. It tracks that in Atlanta, the 10-year appreciation was 71%. Now, I'm not an economist, and I don't know how if that's all metro or city proper or which, but I don't care. 71% catches my attention. And like you said, with a 10-year plan, I mean, I'm not going anywhere in the next 10 years. So these are the areas that I want to follow as well. But you also told me to do my homework on the Airbnb. And that was pretty interesting for me, because with the addition of Microsoft, and Google is expanding, take 19 floors in a building in downtown. Microsoft is adding, we have Amazon here. I pulled some of the other top corporations that are coming and what impact that's having on our area. Everybody knows Delta is headquartered in Coca-Cola in Atlanta. But in addition to that, the growth of Amazon as a logistics hub has been huge. Truist Banking it's definitely a Southeastern thing, but the banking industry has we really
just got that.
Yeah, right. And we have the burgeoning film industry, which is not new anymore. So that, Tyler Perry Studios have taken over on the south side as well. So that's where like you said, following the development that's coming, that's what we're looking toward. I pulled some numbers on Airbnb for you also, since you had asked. Okay. The pandemic definitely had, it caused problems for all the Airbnb, but Atlanta is still very favorable as a city to Airbnbs, which we talked about. You've had huge success with that in Nashville, right? We were down to a 33% occupancy rate last year with the Airbnb, but they're expecting it to be back up to a normal 38 to 40% occupancy rate this year. And then Sydney, you had pulled the average tourism here in Atlanta at like 50 million, right?
50 million, yeah.
Yeah. So you've had good success with Airbnbs?
We have, and a lot of that has to do with Nashville growing so quickly. So a lot of people that owned Airbnbs here had the advantage of already having those in place, and the tourism grew much faster than we had space for already. So we're just now catching up to the point where we have enough hotels for people to come. And before, a few years ago, we literally hardly had any hotels. And so they would stay booked up, and then everybody else would book all of the Airbnbs. So people did really, really well in that department. And Metro also made some shifts to kind of restrict the number of short-term rentals available, kind of keep them out of the residential neighborhoods, and just not to allow kind of the free-for-all that it was before. So because of that restricted inventory.
It's a party city.
Yeah, well, I could have a whole nother hour-long show about Metro and short-term rentals, but we work with what we've got, right? So these are the rules, and we work with them. So because of those rules, it's restricted the inventory on that a lot. So I don't see any oversaturation of Airbnbs in our market, because our tourism is already way higher than we have space for. Even all of the hotels coming online won't be quite enough beds for the tourism that's being predicted. So we're building Airbnbs as fast as we can. They have absolutely stayed booked. I don't have exact numbers on our occupancy in front of me right now, but I'd assume it's close to 80%. Like it's high. Our Airbnbs stay booked up. There's hardly any availability. And we're building them as fast as we can in the right zoning pockets that allow investor-owned short-term rentals. So I will have some next year for sale. We've got a few for sale right now. They're running around $450 a square foot. You could get a one-bedroom for around $440,000, a two-bedroom for around $600, 3, 7 to 8, and then a four-bedroom for around $900 and up to $1.2 million. But these bring in anywhere on the low end for like a one-bedroom, and then up to a four-bedroom, anywhere from like $60,000 a year to $120,000.
It's a pretty good return. Mm-hmm. No wonder.
Yeah. So no wonder everybody wants to buy them, right?
Exactly. Well, plus then you've got your place to stay, because who doesn't from Atlanta to, it's 3 hours. Like, it's such an easy, and we all love to who doesn't love
just go somewhere different?
Right. Yeah. Especially during the pandemic, it was like, a 3-hour tour from Atlanta. We can go to Savannah, be at the coast, the Florida Panhandle. The Georgia coastline is great. Savannah's 3 hours. The Panhandle's 5 to 6 hours. You can be in the Destin, the 30A area. But 3 hours to Nashville is fantastic. And we're an hour and a half from the North Georgia mountains as well. So we're both cities. While we were looking up the economics, they are similarly priced. Nashville's unemployment is like 1.5% lower. We're at 5%, and Nashville is just under 4% unemployment. And the average home prices are similar. What was interesting, though, was our price per square foot for sales, not necessarily for Airbnb, just regular sales. We're only
exclude Airbnbs out of the price per square foot, because that is a very specific investment niche, and it's considered a commercial property, so we'll take that out of the equation.
Right. If you pull that out, our average in Atlanta, we're still in Cobb County where my office is. We're at $191 a square foot. And in Atlanta, it's 202. So on a national level, we're still seriously undervalued. And, you know, everybody here is like, oh, the market's crazy. But when you look at the data, Atlanta and Nashville are still some of the best, you know, values that you can find for investments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's still crazy to think that we have so much room to grow, especially, you know, watching it grow so quickly over the past few years. But when you compare these two markets to the nation, it's one of the best places you can invest. And
Absolutely.
we see a lot of that. We see a lot of investors coming in from the Northeast and the Northwest. These bigger markets like Seattle's a big one for me in California. People taking their money out of that market and putting it into the Southeast. Both of them are very stable. They're secure. You just can't go wrong in this part of the country.
Are you doing a lot of 1031 exchange deals? Yep. Where people are just literally moving their money from California to you in Nashville?
Yeah. Quite a few. So,
I'm also seeing a lot of people who previously were not considered themselves investors. They're starting to jump into it, starting out with something that could be an Airbnb or a rental or whatever. There is a lot of cash in the marketplace right now. And, you know, so I'm seeing more and more people who maybe were not, you know, under 5 or 6 investment properties. You're really just dabbling. But I've got a lot of clients now who have 2 or 3 rental properties of their own as they build their own portfolio. Because it's the numbers show it's a great place to invest. Spread it out.
Absolutely. No, it's the best. And one of my huge driving forces for being in real estate is showing people how to create financial freedom and long-term wealth and generational wealth. And so I think one of my favorite things has been to show people how to become investors and how to create that wealth. I started with showing my younger brothers and sisters how to do it. And after I learned how to do it, of course, and that was just so motivating to me. I get really motivated by showing my clients how to do that as well, because it changes your life trajectory, like permanently, and your kids. Like it just goes forward. So buying real estate is truly, to me, I'm sure that I can't speak on any other investments, but it's one of the most secure ways to create generational wealth. You buy a property today, and let me show you the numbers of where you'll be 2 years from now. You know, even if we're facing negative consequences because of things that are going on in the world or inflation, you know, buying property smartly, of course, can protect you so many ways financially.
Well, there's no doubt that I guess it's interesting. We should mention that Starry and I we're both with Compass, but we got connected on Instagram. So she runs a fabulous Instagram page, and she's always highlighting these properties that capture my attention as a growing investor myself, watching. And because she's smart about how she predicts, like in fact, Sydney is getting started. Yeah. So I'm excited. I was talking to Sydney before we went live here about how much opportunity there is to learn, because we have college so let's just say 30 and under. We have very smart people who are highly educated with good careers that we can help direct them so that they don't have to just buy a home and stay there for 20 years. You, Sydney, here live streaming with us, can be a real estate investor and build long-term wealth, like Starry was saying. And it gets us motivated to help.
Yes, for sure. And I can tell that we're both really passionate about that too. I mean, it's my one driving thing when it comes to real estate, is because I came from nothing and was able to kind of build myself up with real estate, and it compounds really quickly, like faster than you'd expect. But nobody has to just buy one property and stay in it forever. Like you said, you don't even have to live in your own property if you don't want to. It is truly the key to freedom, and it's the smartest way to use your money. Never locked into anything. I think the most common fear that I hear is that, well, I may not be in this city for a long time, or I'm not ready to settle down, or I don't want to be locked into anything, or I have, I'm commitment phobic, or whatever it is. People don't want to like make a tough decision and feel like they're locked into it. I see real estate as completely the opposite of that. Anytime a property can pay for itself, whether or not you're living in it, that property works for you. You are not tied to it. So you can buy properties all over the United States. I don't plan on being tied to my properties anywhere. They don't own me. I own them, and they work for me. And so it's like hiring a little employee every time. It makes you money, and you just let them work.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, sorry. We're going to have to do this. We're going to loop in some agents from other parts of the country too. And so we both know, whoever's watching may not, we talk to agents all over the country all the time, and their minds are blown with the values we have in Atlanta and Nashville both. Mm-hmm. And we're happy to answer questions. Like, you are welcome to hit both of us up. We'll do this again and bring other people, but we're definitely going to be sharing your social media information and your website and everything online for everybody to follow you, because getting better educated about growing generational wealth is something that we live in the most abundant country on the earth, and it shouldn't be for someone else. It is for everybody here.
Yes. So. Yeah. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. I truly mean that. You just have to know which direction to go and how to make the right decisions. And people like us can help. Because that's what we do for a living, and that's what we've done for ourselves personally. So I truly believe everybody deserves the chance at that abundance that is available, and we just have to learn how to make decisions like the rich people do.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Sorry, do you want to share your social media profiles real quick? Tell everybody how they can reach you.
Yeah, so it's really easy to find me thanks to my mom naming me Staria. So if you literally just type in Daria Clark, realtor, real estate, anything, I should be the only one that you find. If I find somebody else, I'll be very surprised. But I am Daria Clark on Instagram, Daria Clark on Facebook, and my website is dariaclark.com.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And we are going to be having more conversations about investing in each other's cities. So if anybody wants more information, we're glad to share it with you. And we'll be back in touch soon. I'm Deborah Morton with the Clario Group. We'll be back here next Thursday at 1:00 with another segment of Market Matters. And we will talk to everybody soon. Thanks all.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.